for today, right at the beginning, according to some of the weekend, I still don't believe it begins on Friday, at best at the very late evening of Friday, we're talking about something that perhaps might have slipped our minds because we were busy with the release of the season. There were other things to talk about or to be worried about or spend time into, like the raid being released, Mythic Plus being released, therefore not much to think about, for example, with things like announcements for the future. While you might have looked at and paid attention to the announcement of the next expansion, Midnight, there was also another set of announcements which were related to 11.2.5, also known as the next content patch we're going to get. Now, what makes this announcement relevant is the fact that, much like we have gotten in Season 2, in Season 3 we are also going to get the return of the Turbo Boost event in the 0.5 patch. Now, this Turbo Boost event, might feel a bit more crowded and a bit more busy, simply because with the release of this half season patch, we are also getting the Legion remix. So even more things to do if you want to collect some, 90 mounts and 500 transmogs. There are things to do also in that game mode. But when it comes to retail, the reason why this is relevant is because, of course, in a matter of weeks, we are going to get another massive power boost in our characters, an extension of our power level. And it makes it relevant because it allows you to, catch up more in just a few weeks of the release of the season. For example, let's just say, let's not name names, you bet everything at the beginning of this patch that Red Paladin was going to be good, or Balance Druid was going to be buffed again and become great, or that maybe Guardian Druid was going to be the meta tank in Mythic Plus. It failed horribly, it was a tremendous mistake, and now you're like in the second week, your other character has been left behind, you haven't even done Mythic Plus with him in your guild, you aren't even raiding on that character, so you're not getting raid gear either, so you feel like you're lagging behind on those characters. There will be room to catch up in item level way more now with the release of Turbo Boost. Now, back in 11.1.5, the announcement of the Turbo Boost event came much later, because the announcement itself, with Liberation of Undermine and Season 2 launching at the end of February, the announcement for Turbo Boost was basically more than a month later, and then less than a month before the release of the actual patch. Meanwhile, now you already know that Turbo Boost event will happen as the Season 3 launches. It will still follow the very same pattern of the previous Turbo Boost event, which is that all of the hero track and myth track items will go from 6 out of 6 at possible power to 8 out of 8 of possible power, and gaining another 6 item level jump. So currently your 723 max item level gear will jump up to 729, and your hero track gear, currently at 710, will be able to jump up to 717. Similarly, crafted gear will go from 720 to 723. Also, very similar pattern to what we have gotten in Season 2, there will be the removal of the weekly caps of your crests, of course, with all of these upgrades needed for all of your gear. You will need several hundreds gilded crests to upgrade your gear, so they are removing the limit on how many you can earn. And then another return, the puzzling cartel chip. So your targeted best in slot trinkets are making a comeback, as well as, of course, a few of the powerful weapons, cantrip items coming, including some special rings like the one from Dimensius, for example, and a few of, for example, the set item weapons coming as well. Now, no, in case you were already wondering, has Blizzard thought about changing the requirements for your puzzling cartel chip items? No, they actually still pointed out that you will get your Mythic Plus items after reaching the certain threshold of Mythic Plus dungeons. Last season it was all plus 12s completed. I'm not sure if it will stay at all plus 12s this season, but especially importantly when it comes to the Mythic items in the raid, they will still require you to defeat the boss you want the item from. So you still need to go in mythic raiding and actually defeat the bosses. If we can find some positive change with this, is that compared to last raid, where all of the strongest trinkets were all dumped at the end, so the Eye of Kazan, the House of Cards, the Magzi, Moxie, Jag were in the bottom 3 bosses. Meanwhile, in this season, the best, for example, Mythic Plus trinket in the game for healers is from the 3rd boss or 2nd boss, from Lumitar. You also have the Astral Antenna, or arguably the best trinket in the game in general. It's also from Lumitar, the 3rd boss. You also then have the Araz's Ritual Forge, the best 2-minute cooldown trinket comes from Araz, so the 4th boss. Even one of the set weapons, if you wanted to use them with a trinket, also comes from one of the early bosses. So it is almost certain that by the time the Turbo Boost event will go live, these bosses will actually already be on like paggable level. So you won't even need to actually be in a mythic raiding guild, for example, or even buy a boost, for example, to get to those items. And considering how easy the latter bosses are, especially even someone like Fractilius, you might not even need to find the guild for him, and it will still be paggable. So definitely, at the very least, in terms of placement of the most valuable trinkets, it's much better this season for the non-mythic raiders compared to last season, which was quite tough. And then there are some other decent additions for the more low-level kind of players, not into mythic raiding, not even into mythic plus, for example, like Warbound gear will have a significantly higher drop rate. You have now Delve trinkets purchasable from a vendor, as well as, just like the Gilded Crests and all Crests not having a cap anymore, the Valorstones will also be transferable across warbands, just like we had in the first of the Turbo Boost events in Season 2. Now, the one question, yes, we have been told far ahead that this time we have the Turbo Boost event, unlike last season where we were told with a smaller warning. It was much more sudden. Now we know far in advance. However, when is it coming out? Well, we have been tracking the time between patches up to now. Blizzard has been very, very strict, abiding by their 2-month windows of patches. Even our latest patch, 11.2, was actually the fastest one. We had a 49 days gap from 11.1.7, which had a 56 days gap from 11.1.5, which had a 57 days gap from 11.1. But basically, the rough timeline is 2 months. It's about 2 months, one patch from the other. If you look at the roadmap of 2025, you can see that both 11.2, 0.5 and 0.7 are coming out in autumn, with 0.5 being in the first half of autumn and 0.7 being in the second half of autumn. So this puts 11.2.5 in October and 11.2.7 basically in December. If we are again to abide by the 2-month rule that Blizzard has been following, then 11.2.5 is going to come out the 7th of October. That also means that right now, being the 22nd of August, we are 7 resets away from the release of the Turbo Boost event. So this is quite cool, as I mentioned, for many players knowing that they can catch up in gear and start farming gear on other characters once the event comes out, as well as getting their best in slot trinkets or even weapons once this event comes out, as well as possibly some more relaxation when it comes to the race in Mythic Plus, knowing that you don't need to rush to climb keys or fear missing out on the first wave of, high rating climbers right now, because at this point about 7 weeks, when there is going to be an item level jump, keys will become substantially easier. You will get to push higher keys again, which means there is less of a rush or less of a serious level of pushing right now, even more so than normal, because you know already that in less than 2 months you will get a significant power jump So I feel like this is pretty cool. The fact that now we know that the Turbo Boost event is going to come out, we know further in advance compared to last season. There hasn't really been any changes actually to the way the Turbo Boost event will work, the way you will get your items, nothing at all actually. But it's nice to know Blizzard is now, we can say, thinking about keeping this feature in a season. True, some players might not enjoy this, you know, they think like, well, I grind Mythic Plus on the release of the season, I do the raid at the release of the season, I don't like having to do it all over again, right? We are already doing it all over again every new season, because all of our gear becomes obsolete by like 30 item levels, and now I even have to do it mid-season. But for many other players, it's of course more enjoyable because it gives you more reason to grind in the game, right? After in a few weeks, spamming low-level Mythic Plus for gear, of course, will go out of fashion, because you will be essentially already at 705 plus item level or so. But with the Turbo Boost event coming live again, it will give you more things to do to all of the characters you wanted to play, get more busy in the game. So I feel like this will be a feature that will likely stay now in between seasons, to essentially a seasonal refresh right in the middle, actually right in the first third of the season, to get players to keep up the participation in the season. It's likely what we will continue to have in future seasons. But for now though, this is what will be coming out in the next, I guess, mid-season patch, with the announcement, the earlier than the last season's announcement of the Turbo Boost event. So with this out of the way on this Friday, this is what we had to announce. And with this out of the way, we can now start our goodbyes by thanking everyone for having watched the video, together with, of course, everyone else who's been supporting completely for free by liking and commenting down below, as well as subscribing to the channel itself. Now, with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, yes, I'm happy. My trust in meteorologists was right. We are indeed getting quite the chill and autumny temperatures right now. No complaints.